Breaking news, everyone. Kamala Harris's weird running mate, Tim Walz, apparently has a brother, Jeff Walz, who thinks Tim Walz is not fit for office and has a lot of secrets. This is a shocking development. Tim Walz's own brother is a Trump supporter, might appear at a Trump rally soon, has stories and secrets to tell that could potentially end Tim Walz's career. Whew. It's gonna be interesting. Tim Walz's brother said he wants to potentially speak at a Trump rally when someone encouraged him to do that and reveal some of these secrets. Some of Jeff Walz's social media posts are truly shocking. Apparently, Walz's brother called out the Biden-Harris regime for turning our country into a, quote, third world banana republic. This was the same day that Trump was indicted in New York City. Even Tim Walz's own brother can clearly see the Democrats are using lawfare against their political opponents, namely Donald Trump, the only candidate with any real momentum or excitement in nearly the last decade. The only other candidate was maybe Bernie Sanders, and we know how that flamed out. Jeff Walz says he was given zero notice when his brother, Tim Walz, was about to be selected as Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate, and that Tim Walz denied his own brother and his brother's family security detail. It sounds like they are estranged, and the bad blood is intense. Jeff Walz is embarrassed by Tim Walz's policy leanings and said, quote, "I'm 100% opposed to all his ideology." After someone suggested Jeff Walz should attend a Trump rally, Jeff says he'd consider it, but also wants to keep his family out of harm's way. This is especially understandable considering they lack security detail, owing to Tim Walz not granting his own brother security. But here's the insane part, the truly chilling part. Jeff Walz seemed to suggest there is something nefarious or disconcerting about Tim Walz's character, and that he has a number of damning stories he could tell about Tim Walz that would end his political career. Jeff Walz then says, Tim is not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. What does that mean? Tucker Carlson seemed to suggest there's something off about Walz's character. Tucker's walking a fine line here and suggesting things that some of us sense but can't actually confirm yet. It will be interesting if Jeff Walz's secrets about his brother confirm some of these suspicions.
Well, I lived in a boys' dorm in a New England boarding school in the 1980s with a lot of guys like Tim Walz, okay? So I saw that guy and I'm like, oh, wow, I know exactly, you're a creeper, as we used to call him, for sure. And, you know, I guess I definitely shouldn't suggest what I'm suggesting without evidence. I don't have evidence beyond what I've seen. So I just want to say that I'm probably, again.
Do you mean like a pervert? Like, I don't, when you say creepy, like,
there's something wrong with that guy. He's a weirdo. And you can tell watching him. And I'm sorry, I've just lived long enough that I know that your gut level perceptions are rooted in truth. They're not always precisely true. I've gotten many things wrong. Like, the details are unknown to me, but I look at that guy and I'm like, you're a weirdo.
Well, that Walz guy, I mean, I don't want to be too unfair because I don't know him. That guy's weird.
He seems very strange.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
There's something not right about that guy's personal life. That guy, not babysitting my kids. Like, no way.
Yeah.
I can't get past the core fact about Walz, which is he presided over, allowed the biggest city in the state to get burned down.
And seemed to not only allow it, but kind of support it, you know?
Well, yeah, did you see the video of his wife saying, I kept the windows open so I could smell the burning rubber from the riots?
I did not see that.
Wow. The wife whose hand he shook.
More is sure to come out about this story, and soon we'll keep you updated as it develops. But recall that during the Harris-Walz interview on CNN, the only questions directed to Tim Walz had to do with his many lies. Lie number 1. Tim Walz lied about fighting in Iraq when he'd actually retired before his battalion was deployed to Iraq. He lied about knowing about his National Guard battalion's mobilization prior to retiring, then got busted on that lie as well. He lied about his 1995 DUI during his 2006 campaign, pretending to be deaf or hard of hearing instead of drunk. He lied about his wife undergoing IVF and continues to lie about Trump and Vance opposing IVF.
J.D. Vance knows nothing about that. And then he keeps going into all of these things. Today's IVF day. Thank God for IVF. My wife and I have 2 beautiful children.
Now, that's not accurate, right? I mean,
even as Trump announces he wants to make IVF free.
And I've been seeing a lot of IVF, and I kept hearing that I'm against it, and I'm actually very much for it. And what we're going to do is government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get or mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great. You know what? We want to produce babies in this country, right? We want to produce babies.
That blew up in his face during the taped CNN interview when Trump announced he wants to make IVF free 2 hours before Walz repeated the lie that Trump opposes IVF in a taped interview. That's why you only do live interviews, kids.
He is weird. What? He's weird. I'm not weird. He's weird. No, he's a weird guy. He's a weird dude. I mean, we're a lot of things. We're not weird, I will tell you. But that guy is weird, don't you think? You know, he signed for a bill that every boy's bathroom will have tampons, okay? Hence his name. Tampon Tim.
So he's committed stolen valor. He's pretended to be special needs, pretended to be deaf to hide a DUI, doesn't remember which fertility treatment his wife underwent while misleading the public on Trump. He's also supported loony bin woke policies like putting tampons and maxi pads in little boys' bathrooms. And he supported extreme late-term abortions in Minnesota, including overturning legislation that requires medical professionals to save an infant's life in the event that the infant survives an abortion. We know all of this, and his brother still has shocking stories to tell that could swing the election. What else is this man hiding? But the Democrats have told us that Tim Walz is just a regular guy. He's from Nebraska. He's from a regular small town in Nebraska in the Midwest. And it sounds like his family are regular people, but I don't know what happened to Tim Walz. Apparently, Jeff Walz has also donated to President Trump. No wonder Tim Walz is at odds with this guy. Recall that during the Harris-Walz interview on CNN, the only questions directed to Tim Walz had to do with his many lies.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
I just, one other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
The Democrats seem to only offer absurd levels of gaslighting in the last several years. You know that, I know that, even a lot of Democrats know that. They just don't like Trump, so it's hard for them to admit the truth. They used to say COVID was fake and Trump made it up. Seriously, look it up, it's insane. Then they said the opposite. I could go on and on, most of you remember what happened. So we shouldn't be surprised that Kamala Harris's campaign has told us that Trump and Vance are weird right around the time that Tim Walz joins the ticket. Is this more projection? Clearly, even they must think Walz is weird and, as usual, project their own issues onto Trump.